Hello, friends. On Friday, January 17th, Iranian President Pezeshkian arrived in Moscow to sign a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement between the countries.
We are continuing our major projects, including the nuclear energy project.
In the lead-up to this meeting, Ali Larijani, an advisor to the supreme leader of Iran, made several secret visits to Russia. According to sources from The Times, he was asking for help in implementing the nuclear program in exchange for new supplies of Iranian weapons. Recently, Iran has suffered greatly from Israel's actions, and as a result of the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria. And the near-term prospects are even less promising ahead of the return to the White House. Donald Trump has made it clear that he will take a much tougher stance towards Iran than outgoing President Joe Biden. The Wall Street Journal, citing informed sources, reported that Donald Trump, after taking office, is considering preemptive airstrikes on Iran to prevent the Islamic Republic from developing nuclear weapons. In his latest interview with Time magazine, the elected U.S. president did not rule out the possibility of war with Iran. Thus, the Middle Eastern tyranny is trying to cover itself with Eurasian tyranny at the last moment. We'll see what this simple maneuver will lead to in the very near future, and we will definitely tell you about it in our upcoming episodes. The self-proclaimed president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, proposed to work together with the Brazilian army to free Puerto Rico from the U.S. Let me remind you that Puerto Rico is a self-governing territory of the United States.
Just like in the North, they have a colonization agenda, we have a liberation agenda. And this agenda was written for us by Simón Bolívar. The freedom of Puerto Rico is still ahead, and we will achieve it with troops from Brazil, with Abreu and Lima leading this process.
Abreu and Lima, the Brazilian municipality, responded to such a bold statement with a deathly silence as they learned about their future great role in the defeat of American imperialism, precisely from this fiery speech of the Venezuelan usurper. Maduro also stated that Venezuela is preparing to take up arms, together with Cuba and Nicaragua, if necessary to protect what I quote as the right to peace. In Washington, the ridiculous threats of the planet's poor scum were ignored. After all, in the neighboring hemisphere, there are liberators who are more serious. The Slovak opposition is initiating a vote of no confidence against the government of Robert Fico, as announced on Tuesday, January 14th, by the leaders of the opposition parties, who also accused the Prime Minister of aligning foreign policy with Russia instead of addressing the country's internal issues. The opposition pointed out issues in the healthcare sector and rising prices. At the same time, they talked about attempts to question Slovakia's foreign policy orientation.
Robert Fico left Slovakia instead of being in his country and working on solving problems. He's flying around the world and bowing to dictators.
For the opposition to win, they need to secure a simple majority of votes. In that case, the Slovak president must form a new government. Additionally, Slovakia may face new elections due to the prolonged parliamentary crisis. This was mentioned on air by Robert Fico himself. Slovakia may also face new elections due to the prolonged parliamentary crisis. This was mentioned on the air by Robert Fico himself on a Slovak television channel.
If the Slovak National Party and the Voice Party do not ensure the functioning of the parliament, the only solution for this country will be early parliamentary elections.
The results of these elections will be disastrous for Fico's party. According to the NMS market research poll, his Slovak party, Smer SD, is rapidly losing ratings and losing to the opposition pro-European Progressive Slovakia, the very same party that is initiating a vote of no confidence against the Russian puppet Fico. As a result of the new U.S. sanctions, 65 oil tankers are anchored off the coasts of China and Russia, reports Reuters. According to maritime tracking services, 5 tankers are anchored near Chinese ports and another 7 off the coast of Singapore. The rest are off the coast of Russia, in the Baltic Sea, and in the Far East. As Reuters reports, they have joined the vessels affected by previous U.S. sanctions. These are 25 oil tankers that were anchored, including near Iranian ports, as well as close to the Suez Canal. India has also refused to accept vessels that are under U.S. sanctions. An unnamed Indian official told Bloomberg that sanctioned ships will not be allowed to unload cargo. The exception is for vessels that were chartered before the restrictions were imposed, provided they unload by March 12. It has also been reported that Indian refineries are preparing to negotiate with oil suppliers from the Middle East. Over 2 nights from January 13 to 15, Ukraine carried out more than 200 strikes with kamikaze drones and ATAK-MS missiles on defense facilities and oil storage sites of Rosneft. Ukrainian kamikaze drones attacked the Tula, Rostov, Tambov, and Voronezh regions. Hundreds of strikes with kamikaze drones and ATAK-MS missiles on defense facilities and oil storage sites of Rosneft. Ukrainian kamikaze drones attacked the Tula, Rostov, Tambov, and Voronezh regions. In Kazan, a Gazprom facility and the Kazan Orgsynthese plant were attacked. The Rosreserve base in Engels is on fire again. Crystal. Saratov was hit by an oil refinery. In Bryansk, a chemical plant that produces, or rather produced, explosives. All drones, and especially the ATAK-MS missiles, were, of course, officially reported as shot down. At the same time, the Volgograd refinery of Lukoil, according to local authorities, joined the fireworks festival on its own and caught fire without any attacks. The hospital of the 39th Separate Medical Battalion of the Airborne Troops in the center of Tula at 15 Sovetskaya Street managed to handle it on its own. On the night of January 13th, a fire broke out on the 3rd floor of a building filled with injured paratroopers. The hospital was completely burned down. According to official data, no one was injured. Gazprom is massively reducing staff in its central office. The companies plan to lay off or transfer 1,600 employees. The proposal was prepared by Deputy Chairperson Elena Ilyukina. The letter states that over the past 20 years, the number of Gazprom's administration has reached more than 4,000 people. And the payroll fund in the bankrupt company has grown to 50 billion rubles. The audit of the departments and the formation of proposals for cuts have been tasked to be prepared by February 15th. Just a few years ago, a simple cleaner at Gazprom could afford a handbag worth $300,000. Unfortunately, the times of Gazprom's luxury are gone forever. Russians who wanted to go to war in Ukraine as part of Akhmat ended up in slavery in Chechnya. They are kept in the basement of the police station in the village of Novosayurt in Chechnya for several months.
I am Alexei Vladimirovich Kondratiev. I volunteered. I arrived in Chechnya, in Grozny. I was told that I would be accepted into Akhmat. They have been holding us in captivity for 2 months now. Right now you can see how we are sleeping. So basically we of our homeland. And they don't tell us anything. And right now, we've just found out and confirmed the evidence. We'll hand this over, however, they will pass it to you. But regarding, it is claimed that this way, Chechens are buying back their guilty fellow countrymen from the Special Military Operations Zone and exchanging them for those who are held in prison for local assaults.
It is claimed that in this way, the Chechens are ransoming their guilty fellow countrymen from the SVO zones are exchanged for those who are kept in prison for local assaults. If someday Yakut masters were to sculpt a monument to the idiot, its prototype could very well be the former fighter of the Wagner group, Alexei Kondratiev, who ended up in Kadyrov's basement himself. And a slogan on this monument could fittingly be the question, why are they treating us this way? Former Wagner group fighter, Alexei Kondratiev, ended up in Kadyrov's basement himself, and the slogan on this monument would look good as the question, why is this happening to us? What about you? I can only wish to stay far away from all these Akhmats, Wagner groups, bloody Putin's money, and the Ukrainian land where 4 Russian soldiers die every minute. 4. Think about this every minute and take care of yourself. Every minute. Think about this and take care of yourself.